Hey, good morning and welcome to my latest video. In my last video I showed you how to scrape match data from WhoScored, and we're going to build on from that today and just create some visuals that I've started to put together to use that data and just show different statistics within the game. So the first one I'm going to show you is a passing matrix. So it's this image which will show you basically who passes to whom, and how many of those were successful. This is just a snapshot of what we are going to go through today. It's a relatively quick code. It doesn't take a great deal, so we'll get onto that as quick as we can. So as usual, we start with a blank Jupyter Notebook. We can title this whatever we wish. Label it test for now, rename it. And as with all my other tutorials, the first thing we have to do is we have to import the packages that we're going to use for this particular visual. So the ones that we are going to go is usually the same ones, which is the Panda that is going to help handle the data, and Seaborn and Matplotlib, those are going to help us build the visualization. So we'll just run that to get underway. This next section of code is going to help us define a function, and as we can see in this function, so we find it and we have named it create passing matrix. It's going to pull from the data frame once we create it, and then we're just going to filter the data frame on this line here. If we look at this line, we're going to filter the data frame by the team ID. So we'll use the team ID column, and then the type column, we will look for the ones that just say start or pass. So that's just going to filter that data frame down pretty small, and then we're going to group by the name, which is the player name, and the predicted player name. If you remember from the last video, and if you haven't seen it, I'll post that in the description below so you can watch that before you move on to this, because you'll need to get the data to be able to do this. We created a column in there called predicted player name. That doesn't come with the data from WhoScored. It's a column that we had to create it. So it's just going to group that together, and that's how it's going to be able to count the data for us. And if there's any, so we will just run that code. As you can see, we have an error here. This is up here because, as I put in the comments to help you understand which each line of code is done, I tabbed this line down here. I forgot to comment it out, so it was looking at this line as it was some sort of code. So I put the hashtag there. We run it. This should run now. Okay, and there we go. So this next section of code, I'm just going to break it down into smaller pieces just to explain as we're going along. So this first section, again, we're creating another function, and we're just defining a function that takes in the passing matrix, the file path, and titles as inputs. So that's that first line here, but then we are in this line here, we're creating the size of the visual. So depending on what you want, you can adjust these two numbers higher or lower to make it bigger or smaller, and then this bottom line here will just take it will set the font size. Again, lower this number, the font will get smaller. Increase it, and the font will get bigger. The next section of code that we are going to put in here, it's going to grab within that matrix, it's going to grab the minimum and the maximum number. This will help us build the I've actually just noticed that my screen's a little small for you guys on the recording, so I'm going to increase that. There you go. Hopefully that's better for you now. I'll give you a chance just to look at the code before I move forward. But I've just placed this code in here, and this is again going to look for the minimum and maximum numbers. So it's going to help create the numbers that were in the matrix, but also help us create that scale on the side. So this is what that particular section of code is going to do. This next section is going to create the heat map using the Seaborn package that we have at the top up here, and it's going to help us. It's allowing annotations. It's also going to set the integer formatting, and the CMap is the color. This can be changed. You can look up different CMap color scales, but it's the one that's in this map here, the red to the blue. Again, you can go search the internet and find different color maps that you may want, and you can change that and make it as you see fit. It's going to add the label, the number of passes. You'll see that over here on the right hand side, the line width of the matrix, and it's gonna put the width of it there, and it's going to put the color. Again, you can change it to whatever color you want, but that's your personal preference. And then it's going to scale it from the V minimum and the V maximum, which it took up here. So again, if we look over here, it goes from 0, because if people didn't pass to 1 or any successful passes, it would be 0, and it goes all the way up to 41, which is between Hezri Konsa and Pau Torres. If you watch Aston Villa play, you'll know that those two passed to each other quite a lot to try and bring the opposition in, and then we try and break through them to hit the midfield or push it out wide to the fullbacks. So that's what that section of code does. So this next section of code, it's going to loop through each cell in the matrix, and it's going to add the numbers into those boxes, because at the moment this code just created the matrix and put it there so it would be blank. So now this code is going to go through the range of the whole matrix, and it's going to basically put the number into the center of each of the cell, and it's going to put it in a bold font, and it's also going to set the font size to large. Color is black. It's going to put it in the center of the block, horizontal and vertical. If you want to position that differently, you change it to left, right, and so forth. At the bottom here, we have the font weight set to bold and the font size set to 20. So if you wanted to make this bigger, you could again change that font size there. So this next line of code, if you notice on here, we've rotated this at an angle to make it a little bit easier to read, because if it was straight vertical, it would be slightly difficult. Obviously we can't put it horizontal because they would then overlap one another, so we put it at a 45-degree angle, and that's what we've set here. So we've set the X tick labels, and then we've labeled those, and we've rotated them to 45 degrees, and we set it to the move to the right, and then we've also set the font size to 20. Again, your preference. You can change these at a different angle by changing up 45, or you can also change the font size as well if you would want these a little bit larger. This next section is for the y-axis, which is where the passer is. We are just setting the font size for that to 20. No rotation, because it would automatically become horizontal across it would come horizontal across the visualization. If we change that from 0, it would alter the way it looks. And again, that's personal preference, what you want to do with that. This last section of code within this block. So we're setting the title, the font size, and the padding. The padding is here at the top, how much we pad it above the actual visualization. You can change that again by adjusting this number here. It's set at 20. If you want more, bigger gap, increase that number, and so on. Here we have just setting the receiver axis title, same for the passer axis title. I have them relatively small. Again, up to you. If you want to make them bigger here and there, you just increase that number from 20. So this section, it helps, as it says in here. Sometimes if you create visuals, they don't sit right, and some of it may be clipped, but this is just preventing it from doing that. So it's putting it as a tight layout, and it will help it visually set right. And this last section is just saving it. It's saving the fig, but it's saving the visualization with the file path. So whatever that file path is, if you look here at the top, the file path is passing matrix 24 Spurs. That's just pulling that from the data that's in the file, and it's setting the quality of it and just keeping it nice and tight. So that's creating the actual visual here that you see. So we'll run that. As you see, the numbers here shows you that it's run and no issues. Now this section of code is going to pull which team you want to look at. I want to look at Aston Villa. I know their ID is 24, so when I run that, I hit 24, put it in there. So home team ID equals integer, so it's telling the input it's going to be a number. Input allows you to be able to create that function where it allows you to add a number, and this is just asking you what it needs, and you've entered the number there. This next piece of code just asks for the opponent's name, so we can run that. I don't want to spell out Tottenham, so I'm just going to hit Spurs. As you'll see here, there's no int, because this is just going to be a string, so it's not going to be looking for a number. It's just going to be a string, so we put that in there. This one is just going to say if it's home or away. So Aston Villa played at home. We hit that, and we're going to walk through this last piece of code, because this is going to really pull in the data and allow us to use it. If you remember from the last tutorial, when we saved the data, we saved it as game data. So we are now df original, we're reading in that game. So this next line is going to a variable called passing matrix, and it's going to use the that function we created at the top, the create passing matrix. So if we go back to the top, you'll see we created that, and it created a function where we filtered down the data just using those columns, the team ID and the type. So now we're calling that function, and it's going to call it on the data, which is here. So it's again just running that through that data and shrinking the code down. Now it's going to define the path for saving the image. So the file path is the home team ID and the opponent's name. So if you remember here, it's 24 Spurs, and those are the two things that we entered here. So Aston Villa ID is 24, Spurs is the opponent name. Now if I'd have put in Tottenham, this would have been 24 Tottenham up here. And then the title, and you have to put this F here if you wonder what that F is for, as if you're pulling in a variable into the title, which I am. I'm pulling the opponents, which again is Spurs, and the location, which is home. Now if I wasn't pulling in the variables, I wouldn't need that F at the front there. Now this last line again is just creating and saving the heatmap. It's pulling in the passing matrix, the file path, which is here, and then the title. So when you run it, it'll take a moment. I'm just gonna zoom out a little. So now you'll see we have got this image here inside your code. Let's shrink it a little bit more. Get it all in the screen. There we go. So what it's showing you again is Aston Villa's successful pass matrix for Spurs at home, which was the game that was played on Friday. And it shows you on the right hand side here the minimum number was 0. Highest again was 41 between the passer was Konza. So Ezri Konza passed 41 successful times to Pau Torres, and then the next one was Pau Torres to Ezri Konza. So as you can see, those two pass quite a lot to one another. And then you'll also see Matty Cash to Ezri Konza, Ezri Konza to Matty Cash. So you can see in that game Villa passed a lot across the back line. If you're looking as we try and find players in the midfield, you'll see that Konza 11 times to Boubacar Kamara, and that was pretty successful there. Matson and Onana was pretty high. Torres to Onana was fairly high. Pau Torres into John McGinn, that was pretty successful. So it's a good breakdown. If you're analyzing a game, it can show you the along with the passing network, where Villa players like to pass and who they like to pass to. So as an opposing team, you could look at this and say, okay, when Ezri Konza gets the ball, he's going to try and pass to Pau Torres. Can we break that line of passing down and force them to pass somewhere else? Konza likes to pass to Matty Cash. So again, if we can break those down, and if we can stop those passing lines out of the defense, can we put pressure on Konza and force him to pass somewhere he doesn't want to go? As an opposing team, that's going to help you break things down. We know his three favourite players are Torres, Cash, and Kamara. Konza gets the ball, we press close in on those three players. Where does he go now? So again, we analyse that and we look, okay, can we force Konza to maybe look further, push the ball down to McGinn, risks him losing possession of the ball and allows it to turn over to the opposing team. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I have more visuals built on this code and this data that I'm going to show hopefully in coming weeks. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you'll know the next time a tutorial comes along. Like the video as well. Again, if there's any improvements, again, I'm still relatively sort of a novice, intermediate at making videos. I want to help you guys, especially those who are new to coding and need help getting data from free locations. Not all of us can afford to pay for data, so I'm hoping that I can help you along the way. Please leave comments below. I'm happy to learn myself as I'm doing all of this, and I truly appreciate that. So have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.